Hi guys. Can everyone who knows me please make no eye contact? Just look away. I didn't come prepared, so it sounded like Farah laughing in the back there. That's my agent, guys. The agent's not supposed to laugh. So I'm just going to run you guys through pictures and stuff, and I mean, stop me at any time and ask questions. I think let's loosen it up a bit, and yeah, if you see something you like, or if you had a question, Chris said you guys all submitted questions as part of the ticket process. So, so if you see something and it relates to the question you wanted to ask, then ask it at the time instead of Q&A afterwards. I don't know. You might have lost me by then. So here we are. I'll throw the pictures on and you guys go. This I shot. Is that you again, Farah? I shot this in Florence recently. I think this is some of my favorite work recently. It was at a men's show, and the boys, I mean, these guys are all in their own clothes here. We had 10 minutes after the show to shoot this, and it turned out to be some of my favorite portraits yet. These guys were all casted to look like Russian sort of Olympic athletes. You don't see it here. I mean, the show was all like shorts and backpacks and things, and then the boys got changed into their own clothes, and this is what they looked like, and I just thought they looked amazing. They all had flat top haircuts and the whole thing. This guy particularly was really cool, and I think he's about 15. So really, they were all 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 to look like, as I say, Russian Olympic athletes or young football hooligans. Look at the hairstyle. This guy, the casting I thought was brilliant. I mean, I would never have casted the guy on the left personally. No, I don't mean it like that. But he, you wouldn't have. No one here would have seen him, and I thought that was the vision there that was so good. The haircuts, all these boys look like this. It was amazing. And as I say, this guy's probably not older than 15 either. Guy on the right was quite funny. He was trying to smoke the cigarette and look cool, but he couldn't. I think there's a picture later where he holds it like a girl. So no, I left that one out actually. But yeah, that was that story. Actually, on the topic of how I'm presenting this, it's a bit of a mix, guys. It goes from this into sort of more fashion, and then back to all of this. I wasn't sure what people came to see, and also I was quite nervous. So this I shot in Paris last week. It was for Self-Service magazine, and it's a series. They did their summer essentials. So if there's any editors here who want to know what summer essentials is going to look like in South Africa in 6 months, here we are. That's a Chloe dress on the left for styling purposes. The model was amazing. She's one of the Victoria's Secret girls, so she just came up and killed it. It was absolutely unbelievable to see how they work. I mean, it's such a privilege. We had this was actually for online, and with them we had the team was. We had a hair and makeup artist, hair and makeup assistant, stylist assistant, nails assistant. I think there were about 7 people working on at once before we started. And yeah, that's how you get to these shots. I mean, they don't waste any time. Amazing girl. And a close-up of her. That shot, I think someone asked about the creative process, and this made me think of that question. The people who know me or who've shot with me know there's almost no creative process. It's kind of always make it up as you go along. I always do mood boards before I start and sort of try and build some sort of story, and inevitably someone on the set loses my mood board, and then I sort of make it up as I go along. That's it. And this happened like that. We had this amazing dress, and it was really expensive. I think it was like a good €3,500 dress, and we couldn't sit her down. So I was like, what do we do? It was the second last shot of the day, and this ball popped up. I think some kid was playing with it off the side of the thing, and she kicked it. And that's how that shot happened, and now it's one of their favorites. So yeah, in terms of creative process, I think sometimes, it just happens. There you go, the perfect red lip. That was a bit of a cheat. She was actually lying on the side of the pool. She was. This, the shot on the left is still one of my favorites. I shot that backstage in Paris a while ago. By the way, I did say if you guys have any questions, you can throw them in between. There's a question. Kyle, is that you? I can't see that far.
How's it? Uli,
now I'm getting questioned by the Magnum guy. That's quite intimidating, Kyle. Yeah.
Just looking at your first shots with the young boys, and then
yeah,
second where you're working with like a Victoria's Secret model.
Yeah.
Coming back to the question that was asked of how you build relationships with models and how you direct them. How does, the one you said sort of happened in 10 minutes, and then the other one was like a full day shoot.
Yeah.
How does your interaction with the models sort of change, or how do they vary between those two shoots?
The first shoot, the boys it was completely spontaneous. They were so good, and they were just hanging around after the show, drinking beers, and everything about it was they were just trying to be cool. They were these 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, and they were doing what they weren't supposed to be doing. They were drinking beers and smoking and everything, and it was a completely closed set. No one had access. I think American Vogue was the only people other than us who had access to them, and so they were just hanging out, and we saw it, or I saw, and there was a film screening on the one side, and I sort of ran from that when I saw them hanging out and just shot while they were still there. And then going over to the other shoot, the minute you get these girls, Carl, the direction, you also almost do nothing. I almost never do anything. It's kind of, the models, if you shoot these quality models, you become a collaborator. You don't direct as much as you usually do. You don't try as hard. A good friend of mine, I used to assist Kevin McIntosh back down here, and his boyfriend Daryl, who's an amazing set designer, said to me once that with the number of tests and things you shoot down here, you practice so much to get things the way you want them, and then suddenly you get presented overseas with, it doesn't have to be overseas, anywhere where you get great models or great opportunities, and they are just there, and you're so well rehearsed that you just see. So the interaction with the model actually just becomes an extension of what you've done in years gone by. You just follow your instinct and you whack it out in 10 minutes. I don't talk much. They do their thing. And with these girls as well. This on the right, I shot for Mugler. in Paris. It was the lead up to their backstage show, or not their backstage show. I mean, I was backstage after that, but their autumn winter or something show, and I shot 30 girls in 2 days, and they all came in and just said, yeah, I think I had like a minute with a girl, or 2 minutes. It was quite stressful in the beginning, or quite intimidating, because the client said to me, and it's Mugler, so I was really stressed. And they said to me, you know, it's fittings that most of the garments were leather, not this one, so they couldn't sit and they couldn't do anything, and also it was pre-show, so you really had to, you know, everyone was pinned and stuff like that. And the girls came in, I mean, it was Edie Campbell and all the top girls, and they just come in and they ask you what you want. They go, so, you know, I'm here, what do you need? We've got a minute. You know? And again, the interaction with the models was sort of led by the models in these instances, which I'm guessing is not the normal way of doing things, but it's kind of the way I've landed in my work, is the models sort of lead the game. Anyway, that was at Mugler. That was backstage at Margiela. Still one of my favorite shots. I got kicked out there by security. I wasn't meant to be there. I think I explained my way in, and then it didn't last long, but I got the shot. Yeah.
Hi. You mentioned being under tremendous pressure, and I know most of us who've assisted photographers have experienced photographers under pressure, and that can be quite an unpleasant experience.
Yeah.
So how do you handle when you're under tremendous pressure? How do you stay calm, and how does that come across to the people around you on set?
I don't really get stressed. It's funny. I think that's a really good question. I don't actually know how to answer that, because in most cases, I sort of, you know, I go on set and we start talking to the client. My assistant, actually, the answer to that would be my team kind of handles most of it. I mean, my assistant, Katinka's here somewhere. Wave, Katinka. She, so I have an amazing team. I've got a digital assistant, and I've got 2 lighting guys usually, and they do take the pressure off. I mean, they go in, and also I know a lot of people don't allow their assistants to interact with the client. I'm the opposite there. My assistants, I send them out to meet the clients, do the coffees, chat, ask them what they want, blah, blah, blah. I obviously then talk to the client as well, but once they've talked to them, you know, they go and do their thing. They set up the lights, they do the test shots, they do everything, and it reduces the stress by a massive amount. I mean, when you can sit with a client and have a laugh at whatever, you know, you're just chatting mood boards, and then suddenly you having a smoke together outside talking about your daughter. Because you know your team's good. So I'd say that the team in the end are the people who take the pressure off me. They do everything for me. I mean, to the point where, I mean, Farah would know this as well. I've become useless, actually. I prefer not to do anything myself. So yes, it's a team thing for me, 100%. I rely on Farah, my agent. I rely on Katinka. She post-shoot as well. She deals with, I mean, I get CC'd in the mails now. They go directly to her. So they do. I don't, this sounds really cocky, but I don't answer emails anymore, because the clients love Katinka, for instance, so much, and Farah, that they deal with them, and then they do their job, and I sort of pick up on the leftovers and this and that, and so I have no stress. Or it sounds very arrogant, but it's not. It's just, I think it's a question of delegation, and it works. Yeah, and trust. It's absolute trust. I mean, I've also had assistants who've not done it well, and you pay for that. And when that goes wrong, I pay for it. You know, it's you pick your team, and when they're good, and you hang on to them. Anyway, long story short, this girl on the left is one of my favorite faces. She's Argentinian. I shot that, I think, at a Paco Rabanne show or something, and it was just a daylight shot next to a window, but she just looked unbelievable. The picture on the right is part of a personal project. I shot that on a farm recently, and that's an ongoing series of nudes. Really beautiful. Steph, is that you laughing? I'll tell you guys a little inside secret. This is half the reason I'm here. I got blackmailed to be here. Enough said. What? Yeah, exactly. Ruth Prowse asked me once to do a thing for them, and I said no, because I just don't have the confidence to go public speaking. And then I shot Steph, Chris's girlfriend, for my personal project, and now Chris has got me by the ball. So so here I am, guys.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, Chris. This was part of the Mugler thing I said to you guys on the left. With all the leather, I drove the designer mad because I didn't know you can't sit in leather. So I was like, sit down. And the girls all sat down, and the leather comes up creased and everything, and the designer came in, it must have been 6 times, and said to me, Ulrich, you know what, this is not the way it works. Picture on the right, that's just a picture. I mean I shot it in New York. I was in a snowstorm on the way to a show, and it looked a bit like New York, New York, Gotham City vibes. I love the picture. It just reminds me of New York when it's dark and gloomy and moody. That's backstage life. This was at a Lombard show in Paris, and the amazing thing about shooting backstage and these things is you get to see the collection before anyone does, and all of these things. No one's seen it. It's not out for 6 months. I think this is out now, and I shot it last year September. So it would have been out sort of March. So you have a real preview of what's going on, and it's very select. There's only a handful of photographers there. We all sort of work with, high-end magazines and things, so the access is great. That was Lamvan, yeah, amazing. That girl's really skinny, but she's not that skinny. It's more the picture that. I think this was one of the first ever shows I shot. I was working for Self-Service magazine, and they had me do front row at the shows, which is not what you want to do, but it was fun. I got to sit next to Anna Wintour and people like that. By funny coincidence, I just had no seat, and then there was a seat next to her. Yeah, so I shot that there. Also part of the Mugler project. This is, funny enough, one of my favorite pictures, and I shot this in Cape Town. I think you guys might, this is Kayla, she's a fan jam. You guys might know her, yeah. So she was young there, I think she was 16, 17, and we shot that, and it's still one of my favorite pictures. I had my assistants do the wind on the hair and everything. Another question about the creative process, it's just the guys, everyone's doing something on set, Someone was doing a flag, just flopping a flag about just to do some wind and stuff, and it just made the picture. I think the hair that moves is what makes the picture. What's next? Trees. I don't only shoot girls. Tell me.
Sorry, another question. So I wanted to ask, for people aspiring, for photographers aspiring to get to a level where you're at,
Yeah.
what would you propose as a focus point? Is it more the relationships that you're nurturing? Is it more your craft? Is it more, discovering your own sense of self? Or is there a focus point? Is it like just a full frontal attack, on a couple of things?
Do you know, I think it's a bit of all. I think you say full frontal attack. I never thought of it that way, but I guess you do go in guns blazing when you start out. You try your best. You do everything. But to me, the most important thing right now has been the relationships. I've spent with these things, going backstage, I now have really good relationships with most of the designers and people because of years of sort of like 2 or 3 years of going back and back and back and shooting their shows and doing their thing. So you meet them and you do your thing. And in the end, you start drinking wine with them, and then, it becomes a relationship thing. It's exactly that. You start having chats away from photography and all of that, and the minute they get friendly, they book you. That sounds funny, but it's true. I think likability in this industry at the moment is a huge money spinner. If you can keep your clients happy and produce the good work, then you're in a good place. I think there's a lot of people with a lot of talent who are very cocky, and no one's got time for that. To give you an example, and it sounds, again, it sounds like bragging, but I had, when I started shooting for Self-Service, the editor of Self-Service was married to the now fashion director of Paris Vogue. And so when I got into Self-Service magazine, they were still all there. So now I've got a really good relationship with the fashion director of Paris Vogue by sort of default. And just being nice, and when they say, Ulrich, they call you at 11 o'clock, can you go and shoot a party for us or something? It's Paris Vogue calling, you just say yes. And bizarrely enough, there are people in this industry who say no. Like, oh, do you know what, I don't want to really be seen shooting a party or something like that, but it leads to all of the bigger things, and those guys don't work for those guys again. You don't, those editors take note, they go, oh, no, he was cocky, I won't work with him. And when Paris Vogue says no, it's a no. So yeah, did I answer your question? 100%. I talk so much now, I wasn't. Anyway, next picture, that's also one of my favorite girls, Ruth. She's amazing. I broke my leg last year because Katinka and I were smoking too much in New York, and I fell off a staircase, off a fire escape, and then she kept on kicking my leg in at the shows. She thought it was really funny. This is just a random picture. I shot it with Crystal Birch. I'm assuming a lot of you guys know her. That whole thing is a coat hanger with a stocking pulled over it, and we punched holes in to make eyes, and it turned out to be another one of my favorite pictures. I don't know, the creative process, that's to me, going off topic slightly, but collaboration to me is really important. I don't ever sort of think that I can do it all by myself. I love collaborating. I would love to shoot with people who can illustrate on my pictures and all sorts of things, and then Crystal came along and she built this thing, whatever it is, and it worked. And again, it's not my idea, it wasn't in my mind, and she sort of made the picture. So collaboration for me is hugely important in terms of producing exciting work. Beautiful girl, also from Mugler. The shot on the left was a backstage shot actually. We had a second to shoot it, and there was a black background, and the girl was dressed in her look for the collection before she went out on the runway, and I shot it. It was literally, she stood there, I think maybe we shot 5 frames or something. But the makeup's perfect, and she looks amazing. And then the shot on the right, it was just a spun of another project. Backstage again. I love the clothes in this. That's the exciting thing about shooting backstage, for instance. I mean, you can't do it forever, but it just, to see the craft. Yeah, that's New York. Happy days. Also backstage, also New York. The girl on the right's Edie Campbell, who's one of my favorites. I mean, I don't know if you guys know her, but she is unbelievably beautiful. This girl is also one of the girls of the moment. She's on the cover of everything, ID and Dazed and all those sort of fashion things. Backstage, this was at a Lacoste show, and this is just before lineup, or this is in lineup as they go out onto the runway, and the colors were just, it just worked. It was just one of those shots where they were all there, all dressed, all looking good. That's also out of focus, or not sharp, but that's a giant snowman, as you all can see. A very big snowman. That's Edie Campbell, the girl I just told you about, before she colored her hair. How's that face? She is just, and then New York, this is the studios. When I was assisting, like I said, I used to work for Kevin McIntosh, and we used to shoot in the studios just on the right here. That's New York in February. That's miserable. New York again. More Mugler. I mean, this series was so good to shoot because, as I said, they gave me 30 or 32 girls in 2 days to shoot. So I sort of got the best of the gang. Another one. Okay, this now is a personal project I'm working on. It's a book I'm shooting. I don't know if you guys have, any of you know of it, but it's like a, hold on. It's basically a book about a bunch of girlfriends going skinny dipping. And we sort of, I just wanted to shoot it in a really innocent way of girls just, you know, as if they're driving around in a car and found a pool or somewhere to go and swim, and then they stripped off and went swimming. So this is it. That's done now. I'm done shooting, so it's hopefully coming out soon. That's some of it. Is that blurry, or is that just me? I can't see, I'm quite blind. That's the girl, the picture on the right is also one of the girls. So the aim is to sort of launch the book and do an exhibition and do a whole big thing of, you know, these girls. It was sort of inspired, I wouldn't say inspired by Bruce Weber, but I love the way Bruce Weber shoots. He's people like really loose, and actually it's got nothing to do with Bruce Weber. Maybe I just like these pictures when I shot this, but I did take something from it. I love the shadows there. It's working, sorry. No, it's mostly my choice. I love black and whites and I love crops. I sort of, it's funny, it's been quite a struggle with clients because obviously in the sort of commercial side of things you have to shoot full lengths and you have to shoot color, and that's not where my head's at. But I had a long discussion with a friend of mine, Matthew Brooks. He shoots sort of, he does all these Armani campaigns and all of those things. And when he went to Paris, he started, everything he shot was black and white and crops. And he said to me, don't worry, just stick to it. But yeah, it's my vision, but it is a bit of a problem for money making. You know, if you... No, I mean, it's... my next comment was going to be on the picture on the side, which is film, but I shoot everything on digital, so it's all in color. If it works in color, I mean, often it's more contemporary in color. So if it lends itself to that, then I'll do it in color. But sort of my heart is in black and white. Yes.
Hi. I want to know about the book you're doing with the nudes. Are the people that you're shooting people you know, like as in like relationships to you, or are they people that you find interesting? And the second question is, I feel like with these pictures, like the fact that they have to look innocent is a very important, or like look not innocent in the sense, but look like playful or unplaced.
Yeah.
So how did you kind of get that imagery in terms of them being together, but you being there as a third party taking pictures of them?
When I started this project, I had a list of models I wanted to shoot, and none of them worked out. So it led to me finding. It ended up being friends. Yeah. To answer your first question, just because I've been shooting obviously commercial jobs and everything, so I knew a lot of girls anyway. And when I mentioned I'm shooting this, a lot of them invited themselves. Like, you know, I would love to do this, I would love to do this. And so it started, and they invited their friends. So now it is a friendship project, first question. Second question, that makes it a lot easier, you know, to get those off moments. And again, that going back to where we started of my style of shooting, I really have no plan when I go into these things. I mean, I go in with a mood board, and then someone loses it, and I just kind of wing it. I mean, sometimes the shots happen when girls are getting changed or having a smoke break or doing their own thing. I often find that the shots I direct are my worst. And then the girls sort of, or the models, I say girls, but any sort of model, the minute you take your attention away from them and they start doing their own thing, something in me, it alerts something in me, and I always seem to get those moments. And those are always my favorite moments. I'm not great at directing, I think,
really
specific scenes, but I capture the off moments of the scenes I sort of try to create, and that's how this happens.
Just a question regarding directing, regarding the directing of your subjects. So you shoot a lot in studio, and you also shoot a lot behind the scenes, piggybacking off fashion shows or events and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In terms of handling a model, when you have full control of a model or of a subject for a day, do you prefer that to the more candid, sort of take what you can get, almost documentary backstage stuff that you do?
I love both. I mean, if you have to put a gun to my head now, I would say studio, because I love the control. And having said that, if the models are good, like in those Mugler pictures where they come and they bring something and you can kind of document their skill and what they're doing. These things, to me, although I love the pictures, I find more difficult. And I usually, I mean, I almost never get, like I said earlier, get stressed before shoots or anything like that. But if I'm ever going to be nervous, it's going to be before personal work. It's funny, I really do. I never worry about studio shoots and controlled environments, and the minute they take that, or I take that away from myself, I go in the morning and I'm like, oh, you know, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And then it happens, you know, the girls do something. That's the beauty of having multiple personalities on set. You know, you're not the only brain. And if they're good, again, that goes into casting. There's so many variables in this. If your casting's good, you eliminate so many aspects that can go wrong. So if your casting's good, you know that someone will bring something, and you can, if it's your off day or you're not having a good day, or if you're sort of not 100% confident, someone will bring something, and the minute it starts happening, the confidence comes back, and the girls start performing, and it's a team effort. But I think casting and all of those, like everything plays a role. Does that answer your question? More pictures. This is one of those moments, I mean, it's not, you can just see it's not directed. Shot on the left is one of the few film shots I sort of did. I have this little Yashika point and shoot thingy. And I keep on opening the back, well, purposely. And it does these light leaks, it's amazing. The picture on the right, I shot in Hout Bay on the dunes there, and the model didn't speak to me for days after because they got sandblasted. So they came out because they were like, you know what, we're going to do this because we love the project, blah, blah, blah. And afterwards, they're like, screw your project. It's also part of the book. I love her face there. That was in Silvermine, and it was a real problem for me because she was Danish and she couldn't keep her clothes on. And I don't mean that in like a, but it was Silvermine, so you can't swim naked in Silvermine. And I turned around to have a smoke, and when I looked back, she was in the lake, naked, and I was like, oh my God, we're going to get arrested. But anyway, we managed to get a couple of shots before sense prevailed. Rolling down the dunes in Arniston. That was out in near Arniston as well, all the girls swimming. I love the tones on this. I love the way she's lying and just the whole. Again, this is. I feel it's a kind of shot you can't direct. It's you get it with friends, people who sort of are comfortable with you. She didn't care how she looked or how she was contorted or anything like that. She just did her thing. Picture on the right. For my book, like the stretch marks and things like that, I'm leaving all of that in. I think it's amazing. It's a documentation of life, so I'm not gonna take those out. And also, again, the picture on the left, I just love the way she's lying. It's these things where these off moments. Someone asked a question earlier about the direction and things. That is the shot in between. Okay, this goes into party mode. Party pictures. I got commissioned by Paris Vogue to go around New York and hang out at parties. So this is some of that. It's just snaps of life backstage, or not backstage, at the parties. That's Sofia Coppola going out of a party and it was pissing down with rain. Picture on the bottom left is someone punched someone at an ASAP Rocky concert, and I happened to be in the middle of it, so I got a shot of it. And I just love how New York it is. The guy is huge, and he's got, I don't know, it's New York to me. And it's ASAP Rocky. It's actually quite a boring picture. That's also someone leaving in the rain, as you can all see. And this one, the sideways one, the guy in the back is an old famous fashion guy, and I just love how he looks at this girl who's dancing, going mad. More party pictures. Those were the snacks at the Vogue party. I don't know what they were, but they were good. I love the picture at the bottom, a tongue and the cigarette and the whole thing. So it's just a snap, but That was also, I think it was a Jeremy Scott party, and it's some famous DJ or something, or someone in the DJ box, and it just looked cool. This is Kanye's car, for those who want, for those who care. His matte black Porsche. It really is. This has got nothing to do with anything else I showed, but it's just the last job I shot, so I thought I'd put it in. It was in Paris last week as well, and I shot a story for Self-Service in collaboration with All Saints. So it's just girls and all dressed in All Saints, but I just love how cool they look. The girl on the right is on the cover of ID now, or Dazed. She's only 16, but she just looks mean. This girl's now the face of Dior. So she's the hot new thing that no one knows about. She's just coming out. She's Israeli. That's the Paris streets. That's her again. She's just cool without trying. She's one of those. And that's the last picture, guys. That's it.
Okay, guys, there's a few hands going up here, so questions will continue.
Save for the very cool pictures of the 15, 16-year-old boys.
Yeah.
The majority of your work is with females. Is there much more deeper interest there?
No, I just haven't found good boys in Cape Town.
Okay.
I'm sorry, babe.
How do you sort of navigate your way around fashion shows? For those of us who have shot fashion shows, especially like locally, you know it can be a pretty chaotic and really hectic environment. How do you sort of navigate the chaos and sort of single out girls or models and like really like sort of derive their attention? Because it can be a tricky thing to do.
I'm very lucky. Katinka knows because she does it as well now. Self-Service magazine in Europe is really highly rated, you know, and I shoot Paris Vogue there as well. So you have all access, so there's no problems. You just do what you want. I mean, when we are backstage, it's maybe Paris Vogue and ID and Dazed and American Vogue. So there's a handful of us who have all access, and then there's the rest. So it helps. So navigation isn't a problem. When obviously when the girls are dressed and it gets busy, it's still a bit of a mess. But we all know each other and we know who everyone's shooting for and give each other the space we need. No one's competing.
How did you get into fashion photography in the first place?
My mom. I was going to study law, and then I was meant to come to Stellenbosch. I got accepted into law school, blah blah blah, and got into the boarding school thing there. And I was in London at the time, and I didn't come back. I extended my visa, and I called my mum and I said, I'm not coming back. And she, as mums do, nearly had a heart attack, and then there was a bit of a problem there. And then I think after 6 months, she said, you know what, why don't you just do something like photography? And I always had a camera in my hand from when I was a boy. And that was that. I was like, yo, Mom, that's a good idea. And yeah, so I said, give it a go. And I loved it from day one. I studied it in Pretoria, like a short course thing, and that was it.
Just adding on to Hilton's question.
Yeah.
Kind of finding that balance between shooting what you kind of want and want to achieve and pleasing clients.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you kind of go about like shooting?
I mean, it's mood dependent, I guess. You just, like, I shot something amazing with Michelle the other on Sunday, and we sort of found each other, and shot it, and that was that. We sort of it was a conversation that happened, and we shot it, and it was amazing. And then, if the conversations aren't right and the people aren't right, you just don't shoot it, and then you go on with commercial work. I don't know if that's actually got nothing to do with what you're asking, but it's.
Well, just like kind of people have their own ideas, but it's own kind of.
I just do it fly by wire. I just when it happens, I always try and research things and find inspiration and build mood boards, and it never works. It never does. I always end up shooting spontaneously the day before when someone amazing comes along. If a girl like this or someone pops into the room, I would be on the phone to an agent now and shoot it tomorrow. And then I'd be building mood boards for a shoot that I want to shoot for weeks, and it wouldn't work. So to me, it's spontaneity. The right person, right time, do it. Which is also quite frustrating because you end up with a lot of off days. So, yeah.
What's your favorite lens? No, I'm joking. You've shot overseas quite a bit, and you've referenced these magazines, these titles that do a lot of prints, like self-service, there's ideas, data, etc.
Yeah.
We don't really have something like that in South Africa. What do you think would be a strong proponent to make that happen, or why do you think it is not happening? But we have.
I think there's a lot coming out of South Africa. I mean, I look at what
in terms of print, like to actually like publications.
Oh, print.
Yeah.
Sales. I don't know if I don't know actually. It's. I think it's commercially driven down here. You know, Media 24 and those people obviously own the magazines and New Media and all of them. So it's a money thing. I think people are scared but people are scared everywhere to self-publish. And bizarrely enough, all the cool magazines like Love and ID and all of them were self-published when they started. Young magazines doing their own thing. And I don't know if it's because people don't have the money or they don't want to spend the money or whatever, but it's that's the only restriction, I think, is sort of the fear of failure, I guess. Yeah.
Hi, I just want to know, like, we always wonder, how do you actually get your foot in the door? Like you were saying, you assisted that guy you're talking about, and then, like, how did you actually get to assist him? And then the other thing is, how do you actually get your foot in the door? And then, do you actually do tests and stuff, or how did you come about actually booking your own, like, fashion?
What was your first question? Sorry, I missed that.
So how did you actually get to assist that guy that helped you shoot your fashion?
I was working on production jobs, and someone needed an assistant, and I was the one that was available. Sometimes it is just that simple. And in terms of getting a foot in the door afterwards, hard work, I guess. It's the old cliche, but you shoot away and you do as much as you can and try and show as much as you can, and then hopefully the right people see it, and when they do, they do. It sounds very simple, but it's good old put in the hours, and if you want it, you'll get it. It's is it that time of night? Hey guys, should I go? Is that, I'm hearing glasses fall over everywhere. No, but that's kind of it.
Okay, one more question, and then.
Yo.
Uli.
Hello, Mikey.
As you're speaking to a lot of young creatives here right now, I think the most important question here for everyone is, at what age did you lose your hair?
I did fall off a bike when I was 3. So maybe
just getting
then.
you back.
Anyway.
Hello.
That's that, guys. I guess. Any more questions? I think that's it, huh? Oh, there's another one.